right now he is pushing a level of propaganda about Israel, anti-Palestinian propaganda that is beyond like your average person who works at APAC. I mean, this is a type of anti-Palestinian, like far right Israeli propaganda that very few people even push anymore. I mean, honestly, this is a level of Israeli propaganda that you just don't see except from a select few like near fascists in Israel. And so I don't know who's pumping his head with this or he believes it or what is happening, but it is whoo-wee, level of garbage. Impressive. All right, let's see this.
I mean, again,
well, you can go to jail for it,
but I'm not right. But I'm not I'm not an
and
expert.
you can sue people.
Okay.
Oh,
So I get your defense of Israel.
no, yeah, but I'm not, and I'm not saying that I'm not going to oppose, and I'm co-signing, every
So you don't
policy.
mean unconditional.
No, I don't mean, and that's I mean unconditional, because we give $3.5 billion to Israel every year. Now we give $2.3 billion to Egypt, which has no human rights, and we give $1 billion to Jordan, which has no human rights, and we give $800 million a year to the Palestinian Authority, which uses that money to pay bounties to Palestinians who kill Jews, not government officials, but Jewish civilians. So if you go to
that is just a crazy lie. But before we even touch that lie,
it gets worse.
He doesn't understand that the U.S. gives $2.3 billion to Egypt and $1 billion to Jordan in order for them to keep their own citizens under repression so that they don't resist Israel.
Yeah.
The whole point of them having repressive governments is so they don't do what their citizens want, which is to actually defend Palestinians against Israeli violence. That was the whole point of the Camp David Accords.
Yep.
But then he says that the Palestinian Authority for the U.S. taxpayer dollars are going to, through the Palestinian Authority, to pay for bounties to kill Jews anywhere.
Israel, and if you kill a Jew anywhere in the world and you're a Palestinian, the Palestinian Authority will pay you money for that. And
that is just like an insane lie. It's a laughable lie, because the Palestinian Authority is paid by the U.S. to arrest Palestinians,
yes,
and essentially to defend the Israeli occupation. That's why the Palestinian Authority didn't intervene when Israel sent 2,000 troops to raid Jenin. It never does. Its only role is to arrest Palestinians, control Palestinians, and then provide Palestinians with a pseudo government so that Israel doesn't have to take responsibility for its own occupation. That's why Congress funds it.
So there you go, is a small bit of the level of lies that he pumped out in one 10-minute interview. And, I highlighted that one because it's like so insane. Like, if that were true, you would hear just nonstop from anyone who, quote unquote, supports Israel would be saying that constantly. They get paid to kill people. And it is completely not true. But that is just one of the many that RFK Jr. is spitting out, this just crazy propaganda. In another part of the interview, he says that Israel kindly gave back the Golan Heights to Syria because Syria agreed to stop bombing them. Golan Heights has never been given back to Syria. The Golan Heights is occupied. So RFK Jr. is just like making shit up. I mean, and he does it like with each sentence, there's like 5 made up things about Israel and Palestine. He said Jenin, the city they just raided, destroyed, bombed into oblivion. He said, oh, well, that city's just a bomb factory and there's no civilians there, so it's fine. Utter bullshit. Utter. I mean, and I haven't been to Palestine, but, Max has, and many of these other great documentarians, Abby Martin has, and you watch any of their documentaries, you can see how severely destroyed these areas are, how they barely have clean water, they barely have electricity, but RFK Jr. and others, although there's not many with that level of right-wing propaganda, others want us to believe that, oh, it's this very sophisticated bomb-making efforts by Palestine, and that's why Israel has to go after them. I mean, he also, in the interview, acts like every Palestinian has rights to vote in Israel, and they are just, so represented in the Israeli Knesset and everything. It's like, there is a little bit of Palestinian representation in the Knesset, but it's not every Palestinian. There's certain Palestinians that live in Israel that have some sort of level of voting, but like, he's taking these things and acting like it's all of them. All of them have completely free reign to do what they can go where they want. It's a fucking open air prison. And like, just insanity. And here's one of my biggest points about this is, as I've said, there are some things that RFK Jr. does that I think are important. I like the many of the third rails he's been grabbing, such as Big Ag. You can't ever talk about Big Ag, but he's been doing that. So there's some things I like that he's been doing, but this topic, and he's done it multiple, it's not like one interview. He's done it multiple times, multiple places. He keeps spouting this garbage about Israel. This topic completely undermines anything else he's saying, because it's like, if you're willing to tell just outright lies about Israel, he's not saying, I don't know that much about Israel, I need to be more educated, but and then throw in, no, but I think they are good people who are trying really hard. Like, if he threw in some vague statement like that, it would be a completely different thing. He'd still be, wrong in a sense that he's not standing up for Palestinian rights, but it'd be a kind of like uninformed wrongness. Instead, he is saying, look, I have the facts. Here they are. This place, this year, this activity, this is what happened this year, this happened. And it's all lies. So he's undermining when he talks about all other topics, because he's showing himself as someone that's willing to just take false information and spout it as if it's true. Which is a really sad thing to see. Because I don't know how, and of course, this is the funny thing. The ironic thing is, this is the topic that the New York Times and all the others will give him a pass on, because the New York Times is fine with anyone that tells lies in defense of Israel. So, the New York Times will go after RFK Jr. for a bunch of other stuff. How dare he criticize Big Ag or Big Pharma corporations or whatever? But they're not going to go after this topic because, he's pushing crazy propaganda about Israel. Pro-Israel. Okay, that's fine. Sure, sounds great. But to me, it actually reveals something very important about him, which is that he appears as willing as Biden, Trump, DeSantis, any of these guys, as willing to spout lies as if they're truth. I may get something wrong, so I'm not saying I've never been wrong, but I never get it wrong knowing it's a lie or knowing it's false. I may get something wrong. Let's be honest, basically never happens, but I may get something wrong, but I get it wrong very much believing it's true, which, again, pretty rare, but there's no way he can believe all this is true. There's no way you can believe this level of propaganda about Israel unless you just completely delegitimize any Palestinian who's ever spoken on the subject. Anybody who actually lives there and actually faces this assault by Israel when they're one of the most powerful militaries in the world, and the other side is armed with rocks. I mean, yes, I think the literal rock that should be president would be very powerful, but they're just using theirs to throw, so it's different. But it's just, it undermines any sort of like credibility that, unfortunately, that RFK Jr. has. I think, if I see good clips, I will still show clips of his where he's attacking the entities that need to be attacked. But, to list a couple of the other things that are very upsetting about RFK Jr., he's actually, even though he has, in a cagey way, basically said the CIA killed his uncle, JFK. although he has said that, and he still seems to be a big supporter of the CIA, basically says they need to be reworked, but or reconfigured, but otherwise they're all wonderful men and women doing wonderful stuff. So I find that incredibly troublesome. Also, this may be the biggest thing, and this may be what's leading this crazy propaganda about Israel, is he has said he will take money from anyone and anywhere. Large corporate donors, doesn't matter. So anyone, he's basically putting up a sign saying he's for sale. And we do know that he has some very large pro-Israel donors. Now, I don't know that he didn't believe these things before he got those donors, but when you put up that sign that says I'm for sale, generally someone says, that sounds like a pretty good investment. I think I'll buy that. I think I'll buy that shiny stone on the corner. I'll buy that puppy there. That puppy dog is running for president. So yeah, he has said that he'll take money from anywhere.